All right. Everybody knows we love Dogtra, dogtra.com. The YS600 bar collars, the 1900S black. That's one of Ted's favorites. Check them out, WDR10 for 10% off a single item over $200. That is dogtra.com.
Hits Canine for handlers by handlers in Chocolate City for 2024. New Orleans 2024, August 21st to the 23rd. Hit them up. Hits Canine, letter K9.net. Don't wait till the last minute to sign up.
We have a great relationship with the folks down at Kinetic Dog Food. They have a great balance of healthy meats, grains, and is made specifically for working and sporting dogs. Check them out, kineticdogfood.com. You will not be disappointed. They are great.
Hey guys, be sure to check out Ray Allen Manufacturing's new training app that they've got, iTunes Store and the Android Store. New product collaborations. Be sure to check it out. We also got a new discount code RAM, RAMWDR, RAMWDR for 10% off. RayAllen.com. American Aluminum, best inserts in the game. Hit them up at Easy Rider Online. That's the letter E, Z, rideronline.com.
Brand new advertiser, guys, Rec Specs. We love them. They believe that any adventure, work, or play is better with a dog by your side to keep them protected and with you no matter what. Rec Specs designs and manufactures performance-driven dog gear for the active and working dog. 20% off your first order. Discount code Working Dog Radio. All right, everybody, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. As always, I am Eric Stambro coming to you from just outside Canton, Ohio. With me is Ted Summers, a co-host from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Ted, what is the word?
It's cold. That's what the word is. It's really cold in Oklahoma right now. And we're supposed to get the coldest temperatures we had in 3 years next week, right in the middle of my handler school. So, and we have a large school, so it's been interesting. We've got a lot of good teams, a lot of good handlers. I don't have any dogs in this class that are just absolute murder ponies. We have some really nice, really balanced dogs. That said, I almost got bit yesterday and today, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
We were doing building search stuff with the dual purpose guys today, and so it's been one of my handlers. We had snow last night, and he's from Indiana, but he has a brand new Tahoe, and I mean, like, the engine is still shiny new, and the battery was dead this morning. So it turns out there's like a relay between like the two batteries. Like, if you're listening to this and if you're listening to this and you have a brand new Tahoe and it keeps dying, apparently this is the problem. There's a relay between the two brand new batteries, and you need to switch it to something they call a yellow jacket that stops it. I don't know what it is. I can find out what it is. But the OBN guys were here today. We had Anthony Moore here, who's been on the podcast, but he was helping instruct today, and then one of their handlers is in class, and they said, "Oh yeah, some of us had it, and you have to switch this piece out." So if you're listening to this, you have a brand new Tahoe, and I mean, it's like a 2024 Tahoe. Brand new battery died, dead. So anyway, I had to go jump him. Had to drive with all the idiots this morning and all the snow, and yeah. So what do you got going
on? Just working the. It's SWAT season at the fun house, so all the SWAT teams.
You have a heater.
Yes, because it's heated. It's very comfortable in there. So all the tactical teams are starting to use it. The department alliance that I have my commission through is doing their in-service a couple days a week in there, which is cool. That'll be all this month and a little bit next month, I think. And then just about every Thursday, Friday, and some weekends, there's some sort of tactical stuff going on from now until end of April. And then they start moving outside to, outdoor ranges and different things. But they'll come in, and if it gets real shitty out, I always get a call like on a Thursday or Friday training day. Hey, man, can we use the fun house? Because they just sick of being at their, outdoors. And so, yeah, that's moving along. Pet dog stuff is doing well. I had some training groups at the place last week or 2 weeks ago, a Tuesday and a Wednesday, just having fun doing some different stuff. And there was some boys down from Michigan a couple weeks ago. They've been here before. So they came and brought some nice young dogs. And I have a buddy of mine who lives about close to 2 hours away, hour and 45 minutes. His name is Travis. He's a brown shirt, I believe, purple or brown shirt through the Sean Edwards, the Deadpool decoy.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, he's Travis is legit, man. I like him. He part of his growth through Sean is coming to me and instructing. So when he first started coming to me, I think he was a blue shirt. So what I'm saying, guys, is Deadpool decoy runs his program kind of like a jujitsu belt system, where there's white, blue, purple, brown, and black, and there's shirts you get. You're not wearing belts, but you get shirts, and it's based off of time and experience, and it's not just given to you. It's not like you can buy it. So Sean messaged me and said, "Hey, Travis is coming down. We really need him to really work on teaching humans." So that's what he's been doing lately, coming down and putting on like mini decoy schools, like little mini decoy camps for like the Michigan guys and some other people, and he does amazing work. Watching him grow as a decoy, then he's like could really catch dogs, right? He's really good at catching dogs, and then he's talking about to the handlers about how to work their dogs, with the back tie and what opposition reflex is, and now he's really working on instructing them to be decoys to make better dogs. So it's a pretty cool transformation. So I'm lucky to have Travis. He comes down. He's got a pet dog training business up there, and the Ohio Pennsylvania border, way up, like where it snows in like September, like up there. So um,
No.
yeah, it's an ass throw from Buffalo, so it's not
Oh, okay.
it's
Yeah,
up there.
yeah. So they get lake effect snow. So yeah, it probably does snow
Oh
in
yeah,
September.
yeah.
Nah,
So he was just down
pass
not
on
too
that.
long ago, two
Nah.
3 days in a row. I enjoy it. I learn stuff from him all the time. It's pretty cool. Um, so other than that, that's really it. Just busy for us. The December was like on the pet dog side. December was booked, but booking in December for like January is always slow. So I'm like,
Yeah, that's everyone. Well, and everyone kind of realizes that they have a family over for New Year's and Christmas, and they realize their dogs are shitheads, and then they're like,
literally
after,
December 26th,
yep,
people start calling.
and they're like, "Oh, my dog's an asshole." We had one come in, and they're like, "He stole an entire turkey off the table." I'm like, "Oh, did he?"
What is this, Christmas story?
It's what literally I made that reference, and
Yeah.
everyone in the kennel looked at me, and
Yeah.
I
I
said,
go, is your dog like the Bumpus's dogs? Everybody, nobody knows that.
It makes me so." I had to refer to Office Space as my generation's workaholics the other day, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I'm like, "You need to go watch it," because I referenced the whole thing about tearing up the copier where they go out and it's like
Hmm.
fucking ghetto boys playing.
Yeah.
They're like, "Die, motherfucker, die!" and they're beating it with a bat, and they're like, "We've never seen that movie." I'm like, "Excuse me." So anyway, yeah. So tonight, speaking of like pet stuff and running businesses and whatever else, we've done another episode like this. It's been, man, 3 years probably since we've done this, like a similar kind of episode like this. But Eric and I and our guest also get a lot of questions about like running a business. And the one thing that I tell people, and Eric tells people, and our guest is Alesha, my business partner, and my business partner in like everything that I do, that canine is a business, right? So this business is a business. So aside from being like, Eric is a very accomplished trainer, I am a very accomplished trainer, we're very good at training. I can tell you off the top of my head probably 10 guys that I know are fantastic trainers but are terrible business people, and on the other side of that, I can tell you 10 people that are fucking shit trainers that are really good business dudes and make a shit ton of money, and they shouldn't. And so this is a business. So tonight, this is kind of aimed at our listeners that aren't necessarily professional handlers like our canine guys. That is about people that are running canine businesses, whether it be pet or hunting or canine like slash pet, like whatever it is. But tonight with us is Alesha Brandt. Alesha, how are you?
Oh man, I am finer than frog's fur.
You sound like shit. So I mean,
No, I
what's
am
wrong?
Yeah.
What's wrong with
like
you?
in the middle of an allergy attack, literally. And my nose is running and my eyes are running and I am, you know, I'm ready. I'm ready for my close up, Mr. DeVille. So
Yeah,
it's
you're not
beautiful.
gonna die. You'll be all right. So you know, Eric, kind of like lead us off here with the. I feel like there's so much here
Yeah, there's a
that
lot.
yeah, and this
Yep.
episode is not going to be like how to teach a dog to sit, or is not going to talk about positive and negative reinforcement, or positive punishment, or leash management, or me yelling at handlers, or whatever. This is some shit that like is the day to day operations of how like Eric at Vaness, Canine and Ridgeside, and Alesha and I at Torchlight and HRD and all these other places. And obviously the podcast, this is a business also, and this is a has a thing. Like there's more than just the three of us involved in this thing. So I guess kind of like give us some of the overview of like what we're going to talk about with like some of this
All right.
stuff. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. So I don't want to. Last year, maybe last year, the year before, we were on a. You we were, I don't know what episode we were, what we were talking about. I think it was just you and me, and we said those of you who are in the military or in law enforcement right
oh
now
yeah, that's right.
is canine guys, and you think you're going to come out of the military or still in law enforcement or going to be getting out of law enforcement and think that you're just going to go start up a working dog business and sell police dogs and get contracts with the military and all this other stuff. I said that is not going to happen. Like, you are just going to spin your wheels and it's not going to happen. That there are lots of big vendors. There's a lot. The industry is filled with people already. It's hard to make inroads. And then, we started talking. And I just started thinking about it. I'm like, well, listen, who the hell am I, honestly, to kill those dreams for people? We're just trying to, we were trying to be realistic, but there are people who have recently started, in the last year or two, started from the ground up working dog businesses and are doing pretty good. You know, they're some of them are in heavy markets where it's tough to do it, but they're obviously putting out good products, so they're getting some good handler stuff going on there. Um, and then there's some that are a niche market, like where they're the only thing in their area, which is cool. And if that works out for you, you can get kind of own that whole area. So I was like reached out to you guys. Those of you who don't know, maybe you do or you don't know, Alesha, Ted, and I all own this podcast together, and we have since the very beginning, and it's worked out just fine for us. Alicia's been on twice. She hosted an episode
Yeah,
Yep.
that
With
talked
Lori.
to my wife, and it was a pretty sweet crime episode. But and then we did the very first series of Women in Canine. Alesha was guest number one, I believe, from that, and it was just she and I talking. So those, if you go back and listen, those are way in the back, but those are really good episodes. So anyways, we're gonna talk about like my perspective on being so I have Vaness Canine and I have Ridgeside Canine, Ohio. I used to do everything pets and police dogs out of Vaness Canine, and it just became confusing for people when it came to like the website because I had both things going. Advertising got weird. I missed out on some police dogs because my social media was showing pets, and then I missed out on some pet people because they went to the website and the website had a lot of police stuff on it. So we split that up. Now, my entire time at Van S Canine, I had on the working dog side me. I had a guy named Jordan working for me for a long time. He would help me get dogs ready and things like that. But Jordan is also a full time state trooper and now a dog handler, and so his time got eaten up as well. So kennel, it was just me, no help from anybody. Um, Getting the dogs from Europe, just me. Getting them prepped. There are, I don't know, man, hundreds of dogs that I trained on imprinting them on boxes by myself, where it's me holding the dog back, all this shit, popping the ball, woo, getting the ball, letting the dog run around so I could switch the boxes real quick or tying him off to a pole so I could switch, necessity is the mother of invention,
Yep.
but it worked, right? So we're going to talk about from my perspective on the smaller scale kennel size. The most kennels I ever had was 8, and then we're going to have you guys talk about. You guys are, especially now, currently rolling in a much larger facility, larger kennel, lots of employees. I have at one point I had 20, 24, 25 people on the pet side and me on the working dog side, and then still trying to work that. Like my if the payroll's down, we made some changes and some trainers had to move on and things like that. So the payroll is down to like $350,000 a year, and I get zero of that. I take zero. So there's a lot going on. So on the working dog side, that was all me fronting out the money. We can talk. I'll talk briefly a little relationship problem or issue that kept me going for a little while with a vendor, and then that fell apart, and that kind of changed everything. But so yeah, we'll talk about that, and then I'll talk about that in the first segment. After the first commercial break, when we come back, we're going to deep dive where you guys are at, how it's going, and then on the third segment, we can talk, things going forward in the future. Maybe even some don't make the mistakes that we did. Like I have some for sure, and you guys have a very interesting story. We probably don't want to get into most of it, but there was a big change in your business, and I'll tell you what. At the beginning of the second thing, I'll just kind of intro that a little bit. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you see Alesha's wearing one of the old OG. Is that a Working Dog Dry Goods shirt?
It is the original Fight
Yeah,
Drive.
The
Yep.
hashtag
One of
Fight
our
Drive.
original hashtag shirts. So
I like
these are
it.
big sellers.
Yeah.
And we didn't
It's
get
weird.
a cease and desist for this one, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah,
they a couple of the letters were
that's
printed
true.
larger than other parts. That was a weird printing mistake, but
Yeah,
It's
get
because
just
I
kind of.
think I did the fucking Photoshop on it, and
that's not what I mean, Ted. That is Alesha was on it. She knew what I was
Yep,
talking
yep.
about.
yeah.
So,
Ted's
anyways,
always missed a kind of.
yeah, right. All right. So, real quick, on my end, the most I ever had was 8 kennels. For a while, when I got back from working the Cobra Canine Seal contract, I had 3 kennels, and I sold a lot of dogs for a 3 kennel place. Now, the difference between me and a lot of you guys that are trying to do this one on one or by yourself is when I started, my Instagram already had a pretty decent imprint or footprint. I had pretty good followers. I was putting up good content from when I was on the police department, and that stuff. And then, no lie, the podcast helps, right? It helps open doors for us, and then we, take the product through the door. And because it doesn't matter if we had this podcast and we're putting shit dogs, that it wouldn't make it, period.
Yep.
They'd be like, stick to the microphone, fool. So I started out, again, just me. I had some piece of shit minivan, which I got a bigger van and gave the minivan to my daughter. She was like 16, and that was her first hoopty ride. And
Didn't it catch
caught
on fire?
It did. It caught on fire at an intersection in town. And I saw pictures on fire, the whole hood.
Awesome.
It was I live in the country, so it was a mouse house that did that. Mice brought shit in there and set that bitch on fire. So that was a fun phone call. I was 30 minutes away. What's on fire? And we called that the BV, the bitchin' van. But the bitchin' van cost me like $1,600. And I transported a lot of dogs in that van, right? Getting dogs from locally. I started getting them a little bit from Europe. I got screwed over from a vendor in Europe one time, never dealt with them again. And that's, we'll talk about that a little bit. The trust factor that we have with certain people, that send us dogs based off of video, versus I've never been to Europe to look at dogs. I don't know if Ted, besides cycling, if you've been there to look at dogs.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's been 20 years. I
Yeah,
mean, so I mean, there's certain language that translates, and like so, there's a certain amount of trust and a certain amount of language that translates, and there are certain things that like transcend geographic, cultural, and language barriers. So, after everyone gets on the same page and everyone knows what they're looking at and everyone agrees that they're looking at the same thing, it's usually not a problem.
yeah, yep. So I had a couple kennels at the house, and then I got away from that, and I got lucky. There was a building in town, the little town I live in, um, owned by a guy I went to high school with. So I'm always networking, right? Always keeping up with those people. He had a building that had an apartment attached to it. So I had 3 kennels, a little wash area, bathroom, and then the apartment for out of town and people. And it was cheap. I think total was $600 a month. Not bad. So this is where I wish. So I had that kennel, then I got another kennel, a larger one, that I was at for a long time. 8 kennels. I could have put more, but I didn't want to. It's 6, 7. That's how many crates I could fit in my van, was eight crates. So that's kind of where I stayed. One of the biggest issues that I see kennels make, big mistakes, is they get giant, huge kennels,
Yeah.
and they waste up all their space. I had 5x5s and 4x4s. Now the difference between me and some others is I did not have an inside outside kennels. I had everything was indoors. My second kennel was a giant garage that was a machine shop before I was in there. So it had water, power, um, heat and air I had to provide. We had other water ran, but it was good. I had a room in there full of crates, and then I had the 8 kennels. But 5x5 kennels from Prefert are the ones I was using, and 4x4s from Prefert. Plenty big enough, guys. You don't need 10x20, 10x12. Now it's different if you have indoor, outdoor, but so that's where we're at there. So if you find a space like that, you're good to go. You got to have drains in the floor, right? You need that, and you need water. Got to have water. If you can get hot water, even better, right? So then I had that going, and the only thing I wish was that the kennel was on my property. Each kennel I had was about 8-minute drive, 6 to 8, 9-minute drive, and it doesn't sound that long, but at 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night, it is long when you got to get up, get dressed, and drive in, because when you have all indoor kennels, you can't um, let them just sit there and piss and shit in there. You got to clean it up. You got to kennel break the dogs. You got to teach them how to hold it. Crates help with that stuff too. So I was doing all that stuff by myself. It's doable. You just have to get a good system going. But if you can do it on your property or very close to your property where it's a minute, you'll be much better off. That I probably, if I had property where that kennel was there, I'd probably still be doing it. Now, Ted and Alesha will talk. Theirs is not at their house, obviously. It's away, but it's a huge place. So a lot bigger than what I have. But if you can do a 4, 5, 6 kennel area on your property, you're way better off. So as far as the small size goes, that was about it. You want to try to not overextend, like in rent right away. You're like, that's one dog will, I'll sell one dog and it'll pay for 3 months rent or whatever. That's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
On the pet side, you get into that's just one board and train. One board and train will pay, and I've done that, right? And then in December, when there isn't that one extra board and train, then you're kind of stuck. So I got that going. Don't be surprised. It's very hard to find people to help you. It is you. You really have to really have the passion to do this. But the key too is you can't afford to get a shitty dog at all.
No.
You can't afford a medium dog, even like one that was they send you and you're like, this isn't a dual purpose. Maybe I can make him single purpose. I've had to do that a couple times and I got lucky. It worked out, but just because of the network. But I've had to eat a couple dogs. And we have talked about this here and on other shows that if you're a small kennel, say you have 3 or 4 kennels, you get a dog in, and with cost of the dog in shipping, you're about 7,100, 7,200, depending on what the shipping costs are at the time. Maybe a little bit cheaper, but you fronted that. So say you bought 3 dogs. Now you're $21,000, $22,000 in the hole without the dog being sold yet. Then when you do get the contract for the dog, you're looking at, they say net 30, but not too many of them actually do net 30. It's net 60, 90. Some take their sweet old time. I end up filing a
120.
complaint on a civilian employee. Yeah, I ended up filing a complaint on a civilian at an agency because she took her sweet old time. And when I asked her why, she says, because I can. That was her answer. And then I filed a complaint on her. And then the next group of dogs I bid on, she threw my bid away. There was no recourse, nothing done.
Wow.
I went to the undersheriff. It was bad. So you got to be careful because say you sell the dog to the agency and the dog gets returned within the period of your warranty, now you are screwed. You just ate $7,000 roughly, time and everything that you had into the dog, and then you have to replace him, and you haven't sold the other ones yet. So now you're deep in there, and one return dog early on in a small kennel can destroy you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you can't come back from it.
They'll return them for all kinds of crazy shit also. So, we've had a dog returned for something that I didn't think was a legitimate reason to have the dog returned. And to our vendor's credit, it's the same guy that Eric used for a long time. He, no questions asked, within minutes was like, okay, no problem, I'll replace the dog. And he ended up going to another department and being sold as a single purpose dog. Basically what it amounted to is he had flat feet. And the department didn't want him because they were afraid that it would cause some kind of like joint issues later in life. My vet said no. Their vet, who I met her and talked to her, and she's not a weirdo. She's also went to Penn Vet and was like some kind of like nationally renowned like vet when it comes to like dog physical therapy. So she definitely knew more than the average vet in terms of this kind of stuff. She's like, if it's going to cause a problem, this is what it's going to be. And rather than like warranty the dog, we just like, all right, we'll replace him. So our vendor was like, no problem, replace him, big deal. And it's because we have a relationship with him. And early on, many, many, many years ago, and Eric, and I think even before the podcast, we started the podcast, you told me this, but this business is about the canine side anyway, is about relationships, selling dogs, getting dogs. And because like, County A has a dog, County B that's next door that shares a border doesn't, and they go to County A and say, hey, we at County B want a dog. Where did you get your dog? And they're like, oh, Bobo's Canine here. And they're like, cool, we like the dog, even if the dog sucks, right? They don't know any different. And they're like, cool, we'll go there, right? So then, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32, 32 becomes 64, blah, 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 down the line, right? So it is very much a relationship thing. And those relationships need to be fostered over time. And you definitely have to kind of massage some of those. I don't mean like by giving people their way or like giving people discounts or any of that other shit, but you definitely kind of have to. This is not a normal like you owe AT&T your cell phone bill, and if you don't pay, they cut your shit off. Like it's not like that at all. And I think people kind of treat it that way sometimes, and that's not the case. The other thing that I want to point out here is that there's a lot of guys, and Eric pointed out earlier, that they come out of the military or out of law enforcement as a handler. Probably a fairly accomplished handler, did a lot of cool guy shit or did a lot of like cool guy stuff. Were very accomplished as a handler, maybe even accomplished as a unit trainer, and think that they're going and they have no relationships in law enforcement other than just who they trained with, especially on the military side, have no relationships in law enforcement and think they're going to jump in because they provide a superior product. Eric can tell you, and I can tell you from doing seminars all over this country, there are shitty fucking police dogs working, and the people were sold them. Like, and they had no idea. You're not buying these dogs based on performance. That I can fucking tell you right now.
Something I wanted to point out that kind of is the same track with dogs and losing one dog or having one dog come back being devastating to a small kennel. I think something that a lot of people do not carry and should is insurance. It's an expensive upfront cost, but having good insurance can help you insulate against dogs coming back, dogs having health issues, dogs dying. Um,
For no reason.
Those things are, yeah, I mean, and those are the things that people don't want to talk about, but happen all the time, right? You have a dog. We had one over the summer. We have videos of him working on Tuesday, videos of him working on Wednesday, videos of him working on Thursday, doing great. Put him up, feed him, come back on Friday, dead in his kennel. So immediately we load him up. We take him to OSU, Veterinary Sciences here in Oklahoma, which is one of the only places in Oklahoma that they do canine necropsy. And we wait for the, necropsy to come back. Spontaneous death, no explanation, not heat, not, just nothing in his stomach, nothing in his, brain. They just said either heart attack, stroke, some kind of spontaneous death. So
something we couldn't have
immediately
prevented
call.
or screened for, basically.
Right.
Exactly.
And the vendor couldn't have prevented or screened for.
And we import through USDA, so all of our dogs are microchipped, up to date on shots. Everything is in line, health tested, heartworm tested, all of those things before they come in. So you do all of these things right, and something can still go wrong, and it can still be devastating. But carrying insurance, we carry insurance both for the loss of client dogs and the loss of our personal, or not personal, but our business inventory. And that policy, we were able to turn it in and get reimbursed for it, get a new dog, get it on the way, and still make the department happy because the dog was spoken for. So, it can absolutely be devastating, but if you carry the right insurance, you can protect yourself from that.
Yeah, and what guys are listening don't know is there's a lot of, especially larger agencies, that you must show them insurance.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a different type of insurance, but also, we have our own. Yeah, we have.
You got to have insurance to bid on government contract. There's just a lot of different types of insurance, and it, like Alesha said, it's thousands of dollars up front.
I think we have insurance for insurance. I think, don't we, Alesha? Like we
have. Oh God, we are so covered. If a lot of people think that they can get away with, it kind of scares me. Some of the insurance that people don't carry, right? Like if you label people as a contractor, people think they can get away with not having workers' comp. Well, but if he gets hurt on your property, he can sue you, and he'll win. So why not carry workers' comp? Why not carry hazard insurance? Why not carry insurance on the dogs? Why not carry insurance on everything you possibly can? I carry insurance on Ted just in case he dies.
True story. And we had a workman's comp claim about 2 months ago, and it's worth every fucking penny.
Mm-hmm.
Every penny that we've paid.
It made it so easy.
Yeah. So.
So one thing I'll say here before we take our first commercial break is, guys coming out of law enforcement usually don't have a pile of money that they can, buy a bunch of dogs and get everything going, and fund it all that way. Some military guys do, they get money sitting in there from signing bonuses and things like that. My suggestion to you is to not spend that, not use it. My
On
suggestion is
strippers and
to
blow.
right. Well, blow's bad, but
We're
strippers are
looking
okay.
at some of our former guests right now.
Yeah. So don't do that. But my suggestion to you is, and even though maybe your intention is just to do working dogs, that's all you want to do. My suggestion, and I wish I would have done this in the beginning because I came out straight into working dogs. Ted and Alesha were just doing working dogs. Then a business arrangement changed. They had to fund it, kind of start overfund it, and then now are thriving in it. My suggestion to you is to start training pets first.
Absolutely.
There is real money in pet dogs, real money. And we've talked about this before, you will be a better working dog trainer if you train some pet dogs. You will get much better at pressure. Your timing on your e-collar will get better. You'll get more finesse and smooth with a leash because, I do these seminars all over the country with the e-collar, and a lot of it's on with a long line, and it's like watching a monkey trying to fuck a football. You guys are so bad at leash handling because you just haven't touched enough leashes. So you've touched your leash with your dog, and you're still not even very good at it. So for me, the first day after PowerPoint, where we're using negative reinforcement to relayer the e-collar over top of the dog and combining with food and the leash and everything, the guys are like, man, this is my third dog. I feel like a rookie. So you'll get much, much, much better. And there is real money. Like there's a lot
Very
of
real.
people that have, a 1-person, 2-person pet dog company that are making, come out of the chute. And then after 2 years, they're at like $250,000. That's money, people. Like that's obviously that's not everything you're taking, but and then the pet dog industry just it grows more so than percentage wise, more so than a regular small business does. So my suggestion would be to come out, start training pet dogs, even though that's not your ultimate goal. I was just talking to a guy on the phone about it today. He's like, our business is running very good. What do you think about, what did you do? Where I did the reverse. And I wish I would have done it the other way. So think about that. Fund it through actual money instead of through your savings account. If you can avoid that, we've all had to do it. I emptied my savings account through COVID and rebuild of my facility that I'm at now because my guy isn't like he's just cheap Indian dude.
And I want to add something to this too. If you're coming out of the military and law enforcement, really, really resist the urge to do personal protection.
Yeah, stay away from it.
Stay away from personal protection. There's a reason why we've had exactly one guest on this podcast that does personal protection, and we didn't even talk about it with him. And it's a fucking scam. Do not do it. It is a fucking nightmare, and it is a nightmare to do. And the myth is that, I mean, Eric and I know a guy out in California that does, actually Eric knows him better than I do, but that does a great job. But it's because of where he's at. Because those people can afford to pay, a shit ton of money for dogs like that. But the rest of the country, they're not going to do it. And their expectations do not line up with dollar signs. And you'll come out and think that you're going to be selling 60, 70, 80, 90, $175,000, $250,000 police dogs, or I'm sorry, personal protection dogs, and it ain't going to happen. And it's not. And if it does, that managing that client will become a fucking full-time 24/7 job, which they didn't pay you for. And it's a fucking shit show. It's a nightmare.
I did the math at one point about having a police dog and pet dogs in the same kennel, in the same run. How much would that run make per year? How much would the run, just one run in your kennel, make per year if you did all board and trained pet clients versus how many canine you could do in the same time? And I think that it was somewhere around $64,000 more a year per run that you could make with that doing pets than you could canine. And that is with time, training, food, you know, how long they're in your kennel, turnover, $64,000 more per year that you could make with one run on pets versus canine. And people don't, canine's fun, canine's hot shit, canine's cool. It's a great story. It's a good, buzz, but I'm telling you, teaching Fifi to piss and shit outside on a leash is where it's at. So I try and convince my officers to come over to train for us all the time.
Yeah, when we've had the Fergusons on from Highland Canine, they run their school for dog trainers, and they said that everybody goes to their school, everybody wanting to do working dogs.
Yep.
And when they're done with the 6-month school, all of them do pets because they break it all down for them, probably very much like you're doing there. That was a very good point. And I get it, guys. I get it. You want to do the working dogs like Alesha said. It's cool. It's this, and it's your passion, right? It's what you like. I get that. Your passion doesn't pay your creditors. Just keep that in mind. It'll keep you in it longer. Also know that there's a 3-year window in dogs, employee wise and business owner wise. You have 3 years. If you stick it out past 3 years, you'll stay. If you don't, you'll get burned out and you'll quit. Like I had a girl working for me on the pet side who I love. She's amazing. She still comes around all the time. She got a job as a mail carrier, like a pretty steady, good government job. She said, I love dogs. I'm going to quit before I hate them, because it was getting there. It was getting close, cleaning shit crates and stuff like that.
I guess I crossed that threshold a while ago and just
Right.
didn't leave.
And back and forth and back and forth.
We're in it now. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where we're going to be. I would like to branch out and add businesses, but I don't know how to do anything else. So,
well,
we're
and
going to go ahead and
oh, sorry, one more thing. No.
Yep. Go ahead.
It'll zap that passion, fast. And I think, on that tune, people are like, oh, do you participate in PSA? Do you work a dog? Do you do dog sports? And I've reached that point where, Monday through Friday, my entire life is dog. Saturday and Sunday, I want to do anything but. I want to do anything but touch a dog, look at a dog.
Yeah, and some of you guys will be surprised if you start with the pet dogs, how you actually might like it. There's parts of it that can be a grind, but you actually might like it because you can really change some people's lives and make a big difference. And remember, God makes dogs every day. There's always dogs coming in, and there is a 1% of those dogs are police dogs in this country. The rest are pets. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. When we get back, we are going to talk about Torchlight Canine and what it's like running a larger kennel that has a lot of pets and a lot of police dogs, and kind of where we're at right now. So stick around and we will be right back. Finish the HITS Canine Training Conference this year in Phoenix, and what a great time it was. What a great turnout, great instructions. I don't know, like 1,300 guys there. It was amazing. Well, guess what? They're coming back next year, August 21st to the 23rd in New Orleans. You do not want to miss it, guys. I'm telling you, it's amazing. The giveaways, the instruction, the instructors, the hanging around at night, getting to meet people. And Ted and I will both be teaching there. If you check them out, hitscanine.net, or check them out online. They're everywhere, hitscanine.net. Sign up next year. Do not wait. We had a lot of people that waited too long and had to stay at a different hotel than host hotel. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss out. You will not find a larger conference to go to. It is by handlers, for handlers. You definitely don't want to miss it out. hitscanine.net, New Orleans, 2024.
We get it. Fueling a working dog can be tough, but they need high quality food to give them energy and nutrients they require for work and keep their gut healthy. for everything that we ask them to do. Kinetic dog food is a great balance of healthy meats and grains and is made specifically for working and sporting dogs. They have a full line of foods and supplements available. Supplements are actually really cool. They have a weight gainer and they have an electrolyte one too, which is we actually use the kennel as it's so hot all the time in Oklahoma. And they've been working to perfect their line with thousands of dogs in hundreds of departments across the U.S. And you can buy it locally, or you can buy it online at Tractor Supply and Chewy. So hit them up at Kinetic Dog Food. That's going to be good for Instagram and Facebook. Just spell it out. And then kineticdogfood.com. Or you can send out a text. Like if you have a question, you can call them and just talk to Dave. Area code 513-615-6904. And that dude loves to talk about nutrition labels and what's actually in the food you're feeding versus what they have. So hit them up, kineticdogfood.com. We're pleased to have as a sponsor Rec Specs Canine. They believe that in any adventure, whether work or play, is better with a dog by your side to keep them protected with you no matter what. Rec Specs designs and manufactures performance-driven dog gear for the active and working dog. Specifically, what do they make, though? So if you wanted to get some goggles for the dog, which is great protecting them from UV rays, sticks, seeds, ducks, right, hunting dogs, and rocks, FEMA guys, think about tracking or working in thick cover, rotor wash, dust and sandstorms, nasty basements or attics, or at the range. And specifically, they have interchangeable lenses. They got a dark one, and then they have a clear one used by professionals worldwide. One of my favorite things that they actually make is the Ear Pro. It's something that we use all the time. So one of the things that we do at our handler schools is we do obedience under gunfire with a handler shooting and with backup shooting and move from target to target. And the dogs actually wear the Ear Pro while we're working all the time, and we treat it just like we treat a muzzle. So the dogs will muzzle up, wear the Ear Pro, wear the muzzle. We're good to go. It knocks it down between 18 and 24 decibels, all made in quality in the United States. Rex Specs, REXSPECS.com, at Rex Specs Canine, letter K number 9 on the Instagrams and the Facebook. Working Dog Radio for your 20% off.
All right, everybody, we're back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite.
Fuck.
When we were sitting here during the commercial break, Ted was about to make a smart ass remark. I talked him out of it. So I don't know what it was, but you could see the hamster in the wheel.
The vein on my forehead is sticking out.
Yeah. I was like, nope, don't do it. Don't say it. So we're here with Ted and Alesha from Torchlight Canine. Ted is the co-host of the podcast, of course. Alesha is also one of the owners and the producer and editor of the podcast. We've been, all three of us, been doing this since February of 18. They have several businesses. I got several businesses. We have a lot going on together. But what we're specifically talking about now is working in and running police dog kennels of various sizes. I went over in the first segment just some tips about the small end of the business. Small being, it was just me and 8 kennels, and I still did well in 22, which was my last full year doing it. I did 68 dogs. So for one person, not bad. A lot of green dogs, but still humping all the time, and then still having to run the pet dog side of the business. At this point now, we're busy enough that I actually can't like get dogs out and rep them like I would want, like we're doing build out, expanding at the building we're at. It's me. I'm tearing up floors and doing all that other shit so that they can do all the other stuff. So anyways, back when I first started talking to Ted and Alesha, it was a long time ago. They had Torchlight Canine. They had a business partner and things were, doing whatever. I don't even know how many kennels there were at the time, but then the business changed, the business partnership changed, and they found themselves starting over. Basically, you split from a business partner, they go their way, you go your way. They still have the name Torchlight, and they started over. And what we talked about in the first segment was kind of funding your canine stuff through pets. So they started doing Torchlight Pets, and immediately it took off quick, like real quick. And they were able to, things just worked out. Like for good people, stuff works out. I really believe that. And they kept at it. And got themselves a different facility and with the right guy as far as the facility owner. And then now I really do believe when you're rolling and you're feeling good and you've gotten yourself out of a hole, then things start happening for you, right? People started coming back around, and now they had a couple dogs and this police dogs, and then they had a few, and then they had 5, and then they had and then the class that Ted just started this week is 20.
Well, it was supposed to be like 17, but we had some push off and some pay late, and some like handlers change minds and whatever else. So I think I'm at
I think
14
it's
right now.
14.
14's a
14 right
lot.
now. Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's still a lot. It's a lot, and so we're splitting them into groups, and it's split between single purpose. Some of them track, some of them don't, and then we've got obviously dual purpose that track, and so yeah, it's a lot. And then I'm dealing with handlers from 3 states, Oklahoma, or 4 states. I'm sorry, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, and Indiana. So I've got 3 judicial districts in that, and then I'm also dealing with like differing timelines, and it is not an easy thing to do, and getting enough reps in and making sure that all the reps are good and that all of our dogs in the same place. So I'm not doing remedial training, and I don't have a handler that's like super ahead of everybody, or a dog handler that's ahead of everybody, and like they're kind of goofing off and doing nothing. So it's not easy to do a class that size.
Right. No. I did one at the police department with 10 dogs by myself, and there was 1 retread in there, a handler on the second dog. And that was at the police department. That was still tough. I threw a lot of shit and yelled and cussed and screamed a lot. So real quick, let's talk about, so when you guys got the Torchlight Pets rolling, you went from the employees at the old place were you guys, a partner, and maybe one other person.
Right.
And what you had to learn on the fly pretty quickly about getting people, the right people, managing people. How did you find those people? And then we'll move into the working dog side.
Well, first of all, it was easy, to find. No, I won't say easy. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. No, that's a lie. It was really tough.
I was gonna say.
Once you find out your business partner is stealing and you sue him into the ground, Ted and I have been business partners now. I think we're on our 13th, 14th year. And we really set out to make a difference. And so he is an amazing trainer. He's got that part down. I do all the back of the house, all of the boring stuff, all the tax, all the compliance, all the licensing, collecting, and staying in our lane really helped, because it allows us to grow just those specific areas. It's kind of like you said, Eric, you do everything. You're a one-man show. So you're invoicing, at night, and then you go to the kennel and you're working here, and we've both done that. But once we were able to split it, and he does what he's good at and I do what I'm good at, we're able to grow that area and focus so much
You know how
more
many
on
times a day I say that's an Alesha question?
it. Or I say,
So,
don't ask me, ask Ted.
Right, to both staff and police departments, where I'm like, I'm like, that's an Alesha question to call her. I don't know.
When I told him I wanted to get into pets, we were really picking up the pieces. We had moved. The building was an empty shell. I mean, it was just a warehouse with nothing, no walls, we did deconstruction of like the old bathroom, the pink bathroom that was in it. So I was doing that. We were both cleaning in the mornings. He was training. And we had one canine client, and then we started very slowly to market like on Facebook, and we got one pet. And then that one pet became 2, and that 2 became 4. We invested in advertising right off the bat. I think is very, very important. It always kills me when someone says, I word of mouth. I have word of mouth. I get that.
We're talking about
You
pets.
use advertising. Advertise, because that will bring your clients in the door and feed, your machine. And really that's what you need is to feed your machine. We started
Joke
small.
and I tell people, I say it is not Kevin Costner in the Field of Dreams. That
It's
is
not.
not.
If you
That
build
is
it, they
not.
won't come.
That is not how this works.
I don't care what you
So
build, they will not come unless you tell people you're there, Pay good money to advertise in the right avenues, and do it from the very beginning. Tighten your belt and invest that money in advertising. And I don't care if your place looks really cool yet. Don't look cool before you have business.
I'll
Pay
be
your
honest with
bills.
you, when it's really hard to spend money on things like Google AdWords, even though, or like Instagram or Facebook advertising, even though it's super important. And the reason it's hard, and I'm going to say this if you're listening to this, just hear me now and believe me later. It's because it's not tangible, right? Like you give somebody money
And you see
and
nothing back.
not an insignificant amount, and it seems like fucking voodoo magic for it to work. And you're like, man, I don't know, like if this is like, I don't know if this is legit or not. So it feels weird, right? So at the same time, Alesha's describing what's going on, we're also in a lawsuit with our former business partner. We ended up spending about $75,000 to $80,000 over 2 years to deal with that. And that's money that should have gone into the building. This should have gone into buying dogs. This should have gone into hiring employees. This should have gone into building kennels. And instead, we were suing our former fucking business partner because he's a piece of shit. So in my mind, that's also a non-tangible thing. I often tell people that I hate attorneys, and I would rather just go light the money on fire on my front lawn, and it would get much more enjoyment out of it. And at least I would get some heat and I would watch it burn. But it's a very similar thing, and there is a very tangible benefit. So I know it seems like you're like, fuck, man, $1,500. You want me to spend $1,500? Like, what am I going to get back from that? What is the return on investment that I can see? And it is there. I promise. I swear to God. Just somebody that hates spending that money, I will tell you that it is there.
Yeah,
Paying for
and
those. Oh, go ahead.
the Google AdWords, man. And in this industry, in the pet side, anyways, Google works.
Yeah.
It does. It
What I
does. It
find doesn't
absolutely
work
does.
is flyers and
Nah.
billboards and that shit. I found none of that ever
Leaving
worked.
your business cards places, that doesn't
Yeah,
fucking work.
we tried it all,
One
right?
of
We
Yeah.
humped all that.
Yeah.
one of the biggest wastes that I hate seeing is people go, vote on me for best of the best in whatever city you're in,
Oh,
right? And
Yeah.
I'm sorry to the people who do that. I get it. But it's such a con because you don't make it into that whatever name your city magazine unless you've paid to be there. So it's an advertisement. And then you advertise in this best of best, and then they give you a link and people vote on you. So you get all your friends and your relatives and your grandmothers to click 50 times a day and vote. And then you go, I'm best of the best. But it didn't bring you anything.
It
It
doesn't
brought
have
you
a
no
return.
return and it cost a couple $1,000s. Google AdWords, invest 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatever. Invest in it. You'll see that return. You'll get those clicks. And it's not cheating. It is giving your business an edge. And then the customer comes to you and you still have to land them. Your personality, you're talking to them, making sure you know what you're talking about, being personable, all of those things are so important. But give yourself an edge. My God, stop saying, "Oh, well, if people like me, they'll tell their friends." Yes, they will tell 5 friends. Or you could pay $1,000 to tell 75 friends, 80 friends, 120 friends. And those people are going to call you because they're looking specifically for a dog trainer today. So,
so did you guys have? Well, I'll say this real quick. If you come out and you're going to start doing, so when I first started doing the pet stuff, I was a board and train trainer. I was doing it, so I'm paying myself with that, and then some of it's going into the business, and then I had one trainer, then two, then I ended up getting up to 12. 9 of them worked outside the building as board and train trainers. That's the way I started when I started growing. That's a mistake. If you guys are going to do the pet stuff, get your employees in the building. There's more money for the business. If the business doesn't make money, there is no business, right? And I'm learning that, and I'm backtracking and trying to make some changes. I have, my buddy Rich says I'm not going to have a bunch of G-Wagon Rich trainers riding around while I'm, drinking $2 Chuck. So you start if you have a little facility. Like we opened Ridgeside Canine Pittsburgh, and it's just, for us, it's just Google ads and doing the getting board and trained trainers to do it. But what I'm finding is in Pittsburgh I need a location, so we had to back off of that because that's down the road. Like, real estate in Pittsburgh is not cheap. So get it in the building. And I'll say this, any complaint I've ever had about training or a trainer is 100% of those have been the outside trainers. Not one single building trainer has ever had a single complaint. I have a manager there to manage that, but and Aaron Taylor from Ridgeside owns, he's owns the original Ridgeside. He owns the licensing and everything. He says the same thing. All the complaints come from outside trainers. The building gets 0. So something for you to keep in mind. It might be just you though. It might be just you. Cool. However, if you're 28 years old, 30, whatever, at some point you're gonna do board and trains for the next 25 years, or you're going to try to grow to where you're working on the business and not in the business, right? So there's some things to think about there. I do only one board and train a year myself, and it's usually an insistence on a family friend or something like that, So anyways, when you guys started, I think I remember one of the things you did that I only did one intern, but I know you guys had some interns for a while that you were able to parlay into some employees or I know one guy moved on, I think, and did his own thing, but talk about that, how that helps if you can get that internship.
Absolutely. I mean, I very much believe, I think, one of the biggest things that we all put into this is sweat equity. Not that anybody is ever going to be as invested in your business as you are. I mean, that just is a given, right? But you will get people who passionately love dog training. There's a school not far from us that, puts out posts every once in a while, like, I've got people graduating. Does anybody need, employees? So these kids are going through dog training school. They want to do this. But the one place that we start all of our employees is as a either unpaid or low paid intern. I don't mind paying interns, but they're going to make a little bit of money to clean a lot of messes. They're going to start with scooping and cleaning kennels and learning how to do that properly, learning how to walk dogs properly, go into kennels properly, leash up dogs properly. And then they're going to train under our head trainer and Ted. And they're going to earn their stripes before they ever, start training dogs for us. And that'll start with clicker training and pet stuff, and then that segues into being able to take dogs home, and then that segues if they want to go further into canine. But they don't just hop into canine with us. I want to make sure that they do the grunt work, and that they're passionate about it before we ever hand them off to Ted, because Ted um, basically tells them that their dogs will eat their corpse, and I can't let him just scare them out of the gate. So we have to, we have to kind of segue that. But I want to make sure that they're loyal to us, that they do the work, that they're hard workers, they're self-motivated, and there's nothing like having to clean a blowout at, 9 o'clock at night after a tough day that is going to tell us whether or not you're going to, remain loyal. So finding some guys to start as interns is great. Getting them out of school, or we've had a really good amount of fortune finding a really good team. Kids that are hungry, kids that want to know what it's like to decoy, but stay for the rest. I mean, we've really been fortunate in that, but they have all started right there. So highly
Yeah,
recommend.
and in that kind of like vetting process, and that's what I call it. has a lot to do with if they fit into like how we do things. There's a lot of people that have some training experience, and this goes for canine as well. There's a lot of canine trainers that are fucking terrible, like that are fucking awful, like criminally bad, and should be held accountable. There's even more pet trainers that are just as bad or worse, and they've been doing it that bad for a long time, right? And the reason that they're not successful is because they fucking suck. So they come to a larger facility like ours and say, "Oh, I want a job, and I've been doing it for a long time." And with the canine side, I tend to be quite a bit more frank with people, and I'm like, "Well, fuck, if you've been doing it for this long, you should be better than you are," right? So, which doesn't ever always end up well. And typically I've heard of them or I know of them or whatever beforehand. But for the most part, I'm like, then why haven't you had any success? Like, I'll flat out ask people that, like, why aren't you selling more dogs? Why aren't you more successful? Like, flat out, like, what's your problem? On the pet side, I'm a little more kid glovey, because I'm dealing with people that are not quite as like indoctrinated or whatever you want to call it into that culture. And then I really like if the first person somebody asks me is like, "What does it pay?" I'm like, "Get the fuck out of my face." Like, I won't say that, but um, the economy has changed so much, even after pre-COVID, and then even during COVID and after. In this current generation, like my parents' generation are still not retiring, so there's not a ton of jobs. People have a ton of debt. Like, COVID fucked everyone over. It's a fucking nightmare, right? So like, people are doing a lot of things that they're not necessarily like our traditional jobs, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And that can apply to like a lot of things across the board. But I think this is kind of one of those deals. So like, you kind of have to want to be here or be at the get. You kind of have to want to do this. And that said, we do pay them well. We pay them well for what they do and how much they work, and I have no problem with that. But it's not like an easy job. And I think a lot of people just think that there's a lot of shit that you don't do. Just like in canine, everybody thinks all we do is fucking high speed shit all day. And like, I spend a lot of time teaching dogs to fucking sit in canine, either sit for odor, sit at a door to tell me somebody's behind it. Like, we do a shit ton of obedience. We do a ton of line management. We spend a lot of time tracking. We spend a lot of time not biting. Like, I mean, I would say most of the time we're training police dogs, like 80% of the time is not biting. Like, maybe even more than that. So it's the utility of the fact, and there's a bunch of misconceptions about like what that is and what it's not. So the other side is that they have experience. I'm surrounded, or Alesha and I are surrounded by a bunch of trainers here locally. In Tulsa, we're probably one of the only balanced trainers in the state, or in this region for sure. We have a lot of people that default to the kind of like one of the huge franchises where they're going to slap an e-collar on a pet dog before the owner gets out of the damn parking lot and start just using escape training. And then I have the other side, which is even worse, which are people that vehemently oppose any sort of intervention when it comes to tools. And it's all about clicks and treats and fucking pets and whatever else. And those people only take certain types of dogs. We are the only facility locally that we will take anything. If you have a pet and you want it trained, I don't give a shit what it is. We can do it. I don't have any like, obviously we have a questionnaire that we give people, like, what's going on, like, why are we doing this, and what's going on, what do you need us to do? But we put no limits on, like, if you've got a dog that's got severe human aggression, cool, I got it. Severe resource aggression, no problem. Just a general dickhead, cool, no big deal. You have a foo-foo dog that doesn't like to poop outside, also, we can do that. I don't put any limitations on it. We're one of the few that does that. And because, like, we'll do it and we can do it well, and my trainers and Alesha and I's trainers can do it well. And like
We
Eric
don't take
tells all
emotional support animals.
oh, you said that just to fucking trigger me, didn't you? Like,
Yeah,
I'm not even
yeah.
gonna fucking go down that road. So and Eric says this, it's not about you totally fucked me up, Alicia. It's like, I always had a point to
Sorry, my
make,
bad.
and you like, when we take problem cases, like, we'll do it, and we'll do it in the way that needs to be done. But we have taken cases in the past that have been suggested for behavioral euthanasia by multiple veterinarians and by other trainers in town, and we take the dog, and 30 days later it's like it never existed.
Yeah, and for those of you who are getting into, thinking about like we're talking about starting off with pets, at some point you will get behavioral cases, people calling you. It's ha- more than 50% of what we get. Um, and then
Absolutely.
once you start doing nice work with it, and don't think just because you knew from the army that you could put a choke chain on the dog and you're just gonna walk that dog around with a toy in your shoulder or whatever, that you're gonna be training pet dogs that way. It's not gonna happen. None of them are gonna work for a toy. None of them. So
Mm-mm.
you got to get better at that type of stuff. But don't don't be afraid in the very beginning when it's just you to say, no, I have never trained a dog with multiple human bites, or a dog that's so reactive that he turns and nails the owner on a regular basis. That you have to study. The nice thing about 2024 is you can learn anything
Yeah.
online and through other people. Take seminars, take all that stuff. I still, Ted and I, when we go to hits, for example, we're in class. We go to classes. I like to go learn from different people and different things. I watch pet dog trainers online and pick up little things from them, and I encourage my people to do the same. So, um, talk about So now, how many pet runs do you guys have? Like, how many can you do in the building on the pet side at this point?
We've got 16 uh, big kennels, 16 5x5 on the
Mm-hmm.
inside, and then we have 12 day kennels, smaller. But I would say on average, because we allow our trainers to take pets home too. So they've each got 2 to 3 in their homes that they're doing board and train on, that they make the majority of their money on. And then the kennel will have, I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 8 on a good, typical. Um, so I'd say probably 25, 30 a month, somewhere like
That's pretty
that.
good. So
Yeah.
if you're one guy, and then maybe you have a couple employees and they're doing 3, 4 dogs at a time in the building or outside the building, and say you're even doing a few, you can't do the client billing, getting the vet records taken care of, working the CRM, getting everything, all that stuff going. You can't do it. You're not going to be able to do it all. So you have to have an Alesha or somebody. So think about that as you're going into it. For me, for a while, my wife Lori was doing that stuff, working for us, and she does the invoicing for police dogs and things now. I don't have to do that. But uh, I got into it with a with a client's boyfriend who's a firefighter, and being a former cop, I just had to break his balls. And so I ended up like challenging him to come down to the facility type deal. And so now I'm not allowed to do that type of stuff so much anymore. Um,
Yes,
but
Ted
I
was
have,
banned.
yeah, I have managers. I have a manager on the training side and I have a manager on the sales side who handles that stuff. That costs money, right? That stuff's
Yeah.
expensive. But at some point, guys, you're not going to be able to do it yourself. When we're going to take our next commercial break. When we get back, I'd like you guys to talk the day-to-day working kennel, what it's like on the training side, how you have to listen. I know, Ted, you're the head trainer and everything, but you also are business owner, and there's things you have to deal with. How you bring your people up, how you found some of those folks, and then Alesha, all the shit that people don't know on the police dog side happens in the background.
Hmm.
Fuck. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
You got a
I'm
list.
I'm on it. I'm
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
You know.
Man.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're gonna take a break. We'll be back in a second. So yeah, don't fast forward through the commercials. I know you do, but and if you do, don't fucking inbox me and ask me what the codes are. So we'll be back in a
You
second.
miss all the discount codes.
All right, some of our oldest sponsors are the Perkinsons down in North Carolina at Highland Canine Training. We love those folks. We see them everywhere. All the stuff that we do, we go to, we have a good time with them. But the fact is, they're really good dog trainers. They're really good dog people. They got full courses in person and online. They got a dog trainers course that you can go down there and learn how to train working dogs, pet dogs, everything. They do a lot of business stuff on there. But one of the best things they have is an online supervisor course. The course discusses topics such as proper selection of dogs, handlers, proper deployment, and FLSA issues. 30% off with that with the discount code WDR30. Great people down there. They know their stuff. Tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com is the website. Tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com. WDR30 for 30% off the online supervisors course. Guys, you need to get on there and check them out. They are great. Highland Canine Training. Don't miss out.
One of the longtime sponsors of the show is Dogtra. Eric and I are actually both field staff guys. So Dogtra has been committed for over 20 years to crafting training collars to perfect the precise fit and finish and intuitive design and accountable performance. The 1900 SE collar demonstrates what they strive for, which is an ultimate dog training tool that is durable, dependable, and designed for the most demanding conditions. And I actually use this thing at the kennel. They have the new black one that has the lock and the boost feature on it as well as the hands-free, which we use a ton. If you guys follow me on social media, you see that I use that during tracking, and we do that negative reinforcement trick, which is that's the collar that we're using. The other thing is the YS600. So funny fact, that stands for Yo, Shut Up. The number of times that you won't have to say it because it works every time. So use the discount code WDR10 for 10% off any single item over $200. And of course, they also have the popper and the dropper, which I think I have 5 of at the kennel I use all the time. So hit them up, dogtra.com, WDR10 for 10% off a single item over $200. It's no secret that Eric and I love Ray Allen Canine Equipment. We use their products every single day. The mission statement says it all. To be a world leader in quality and innovation of professional canine equipment for police, military, Schutzhund, and ring sport. To exceed our customers' expectations and to deliver on time every time at a fair price. We full-heartedly believe they held true to that, since it's our go-to one-stop shop for everything. Like, they literally have everything but the dog, the handler, and the patrol vehicle. Everything else they got it covered. So hit them up at rayallen.com, at Ray Allen Canine on the socials. They got a new training app and they got new product collaborations. Oh, and we have a new discount code, RAMWDR, like RAM, RAM, WDR, like Working Dog Radio, RAM WDR for 10% off. Hit them up, rayallen.com. It's no secret that I love my ALM suit from Arnaud out at ALM Canine Equipment in sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. I've had that thing forever. Eric affectionately refers to it as my Carhartt suit because it's so thin. I've had multiple sleeves put back on it, send it back to Arnaud. He fixes me up every single time. The fit and finish is top notch, and it fits me like a glove. I refuse to go anywhere without it. I work sport dogs and PSA without it. I just did a trial in California, wore that thing. I work police dogs pretty much every day of the week, and then I use it for personal protection dogs as well. So hit ALM Canine Equipment up on Instagram and Facebook, and then go to ALM-K9, letter K number 9, equipment.com, and use the discount code WD Radio for 10% off of your first order. And this is completely custom, so made to measure. Pick your colors, whatever you want to do. Arnaud will work with you. You can make it as thin or as thick as you want, but hit them up, ALMK9equipment.com.
Dreamed of having your own kennel, but don't know where to start? Horizon Structures has taken all of the guesswork out of building a kennel. Everything is pre-built to your specifications and preferences and then assembled and dropped off on your land. Boom, new kennel. Hooked up to your electric, hooked up to your water, put dogs in it that day. And those things are amazing. You've got to see them to truly believe them. Get on the website, horizonstructures.com. You can custom build. You can buy one that's already built, go off of their design, come up with your own design. They'll work with you. They always are running discounts on the website with ready-to-go kennels. The kennels are already ready to go. There's always discounts. Horizonstructures.com. Check them out. All right, everybody, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. Hope you guys checked out our sponsors. We got Rec Specs on there as a new sponsor. We have a lot of cool things. Rec specs. I got to tell you, man, the pictures we get on dogs are freaking hilarious. Those things, man.
I love the fucking
Yeah, they're
pictures.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
They're so cool. I have a good time with it. They're very functional. Like, somebody pointed out to me, who was somebody at one of my seminars. It was a lady who does some sport work and things like that. She said on the Rec Specs website they get pretty in depth on dogs' eyesight and how they see and how they don't see and different things like that. And so she sent me a link to it. There's pretty fascinating stuff in there. Um, most of us go off by what we see. I don't think dogs have depth perception very well. And especially compared to us, I don't think they see like in 4D kind of the way we do. Dark rooms can completely befuddle them at a door. But
Smoke.
yeah, right. And on Rec Specs on their website, they have a lot of that stuff broken down on there. So it's a pretty good thing for you guys to go check out. Okay, so we're talking about running dog businesses. I'm going to turn it over to Ted and Alesha to talk about. So Torchlight went from doing a decent amount of business to really growing quickly when you guys got back in from the lawsuits and stuff, exponentially growing to being the area's number one place, voted best of dog
Woo!
trainers and. Woo.
Yeah, voted
Pay for
best
that.
of when it
I'll pay for
matters
that.
with money.
Only costs
not with-
$2,000.
Yeah, voted best of when it comes to matters, not votes. It's fucking dollars. Anyway,
So there's two
Yeah.
parts of the business. There's the training side, and which is kennel too, and then there's the person who has to do the invoices, send the emails, follow up, try to get paid, contracts, pay the insurance, and all that stuff. So if you guys want to talk about where you're at now, like what that's like.
I guess I'll go first. So, kind of day to day, like I show up in the morning about 8:30. Staff gets there between 8 and 8:15 ish. Should be there about 8. And then the first thing to do is clean inside runs, sterilize everything with Wizzy Wash, which they don't sponsor the podcast, but they should. If you're listening, Wizzy Wash, get at us because Eric and I could both use a lot of that. And then we use kennel sol on certain things, right? So our kennel has drains cut into the floor that feed straight into the sewer, both inside and outside, which is super nice. Once that's done, if I don't have handler schools going on, we move right into either getting it for tracking or detection work for the police dogs, working green dogs on a timeline, having them ready for pickup. And we're constantly working and assessing problems with my kennel manager, Jaden, who's awesome. And deciding like where dogs are at, loading them into the van, the big Mercedes van that we bought. That thing holds like 10 kennels, so we can load 10 asshole police dogs in there at a time to go track, do detection work, whatever else. And then my pet trainers, some of them kind of go back and forth between canine and pets. They have their individual pets that they're in homes that they breed and work, and then they're working the kennel pet dogs as well. So they'll take field trips with the dogs and go back and forth to like a shopping area that's really close to it's a super high-end shopping area, or they go to like Home Depot, come back while we're working the police dogs. And it really depends on how many police dogs we have. Like right now we have almost no green dogs because they all got delivered and we have more coming in. So we focus a lot right now on handler school and then pet dogs. And then, we break for lunch for a little bit, come back and assess and work on some other things like some of the obedience for some of the police dogs and or obedience on all the pet dogs and getting multiple reps in. And then, about 3:34, I head back to the house. Back to my house, and I have work on emails. I work on office stuff that Alesha sent me, like this and this and this and this needs to be done. And then for the last like 4 or 5 months, I've been working on getting our 501 off the ground, which is taking a shit ton of work. And it's a pain in the ass, especially during COVID after all the stuff the IRS put in place. And it is a nightmare. But it is now up and working. It requires a ton of work. So yeah, and then I'm kind of like answering people on Instagram or whatever, where people are texting me and, answering questions there. And then by then, it's normally 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. If we don't have a recording here, then I just don't really do a whole lot. Now, on one night a week, I have in-service training, so I leave halfway through the day at about noon, and then I go back from 5 to 9, and I have my local canine teams come and we train, do all the phases of tracking, detection, narcotics, or detection, bite work, all that kind of shit for all the police dogs. So those nights are really long, those days are long. So they start early and late. And Alesha has her own checklist of shit that I don't have to worry about.
All the things. I do all the boring shit. Um, so typically, um, I'll kind of give people a little bit of advice. First of all, you need to set yourself hours. Being self-employed, especially for the first 5 or 6 years that Ted and I were in this, it was 24 hours a day. I didn't care if people called me at 3 a.m. I want your business. I need your money. I'm going to be available to it. But at some point, you lose friends, you lose relationships, you lose hair, and you have to set, clear boundaries. So, making sure that I answer the phone typically between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., and that's it. On Saturdays, I'll answer the phone from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., and on Sundays, I will not answer the phone call, but I will return a text if it's an emergency. Obviously, my employees, Ted, they can call me and text me anytime, but even Ted and I are really good about not bugging each other on the weekends. His weekends are his, my weekends are mine. And if we really need something, we'll send each other a text. So, um, making sure boundaries are set like that, I think is really important. And people don't do that when they're self-employed. Um, I do every phone call. Unless I am off work, I will take every phone call. I want every lead. I don't care if it's police side or pet side, I answer them all. I think that's one big thing that our industry is missing is most people are dog people and they're great with dogs. That's why we're in this, but they're not good people. So answering a phone call, talking to a client, and especially pet clients, some of them will cry, some of them will tell you how it's affecting their marriage. They will, the dog's going to cause a divorce. I mean, we've had some knockdown, drag out fights in our parking lot between couples. So taking their phone calls and listening to them, making sure you make valid suggestions to them about your programs, that you're not just like, come in and I'll sell you to dog training and things will be fine. I'll put a new collar on your dog, we'll be good. Talking to them about what they want. We have trainers who are balanced, and we have trainers who are more on the positive side, so we can help them. If they don't want their dog to wear an e-collar, or we can have them come in and try the e-collar on their arm if they want to know how it feels and talk to them about e-collar work. So really giving clients time. I have an office girl who is amazing. She does all of our collecting of our trainers on Tuesdays and Fridays have to update clients. So they'll do pictures and videos, and that way the client does not bug you all the time. 7 days a week, that client will text you and be like, how's my dog? How's my dog? How's my dog? Or you can set really clear boundaries up front. Tell your clients on these days, you get full updates. And then it gives them something to look forward to, and it kind of clears your plate for not having to stop everything that you do every 5 minutes and take a client phone call to check on their dog. Um, so Jillian gets all of that together. She does all of our compliance stuff, making sure that you're organized using scheduling systems like Acuity. There's a couple of good ones out there, but use a scheduling system so that you have a link that you can send your client that captures all of their information, name, email address, telephone number, regular address, veterinary records, etc., etc. Um, Making clear contracts with your clients so that they know what to expect and they know what you're going to do. Um, a big thing that helped us was getting a scale. We had a client that got really mad at us. They picked their dog up and they took their dog to the vet. And they said, my dog has lost 12 pounds. And I said, there's absolutely no way. And thank God that we have a scale at the kennel. And so on the day that they came, we weigh the dog. On the day they go home, we weigh the dog. Sometimes in the middle of the training, we weigh the dog just to make sure. Training is stressful. Dogs lose weight.
We
And it turned
point
out the
out a
dog
lot of
had gained
times. Yeah, we point out a lot of times too when people drop the dogs off that most pet dogs are overweight as it is, and we tell them, "Yo, your dog." Well, if I'm there, I'll say, "Hey, your dog's fat. He's going to lose weight while he's here," which doesn't go over well. Jaden and Alesha are a little better, and Sadie and Lisa and Kirsten, all our staff are better about being like, okay, well, we're gonna put him on a regimen, and he's only gonna eat for this and that. So, he may get back to a healthy weight. Where me, I'm just like, he's fucking fat. He's gonna lose weight, and I don't do that.
That's
But
why Ted can't talk to clients.
Yeah, I do the
Yeah.
same thing.
Ted was barred. He was barred from talking to clients after one woman was in there talking about her dog, and Ted just nonchalantly looked at her and said, "Well, if you died, your dog would eat your corpse in 3 days." And I said, please leave.
she
Please
swore up
walk
and down
away."
the dog loved her, and I was like, no, he wouldn't. No, he doesn't. He doesn't love you. He would eat you if you die.
So after
That's what I
he
said.
told the client that it would eat her corpse, we had to ground Ted from that, which is fine because that's my part anyway. But um, setting boundaries, having safety protocols, making sure that your trainers call you if the dog is hurt, if the dog looks ill, if the dog, sneezes. I don't care. There's a respiratory thing going on, and making sure that we communicate that with the client is huge. You know. Um, So I take all the phone calls. We use Gusto as a payroll processor, makes everything easy. It sends all of the compliance stuff to your trainers. So your trainers sign on, they manage their own, payroll. And you enter all the numbers and pay them. You can do that as a contractor or as a full-time employee. We offer both, and our employees can choose which path they want to take. We carry all of the insurances and licensing, making sure you're compliant with that. Bookkeeping, bookkeeping, having a P&L, making sure that you update it, making sure that, as you grow, you're going to need financing. You're going to need to finance something at some point. So making sure that your records look good, making sure your credit looks good, your business credit. Um, Obviously, personal credit and business credit go hand in hand, but a lot of people don't know that they can build business credit and buy things on business credit and with business credit and not have to have it on your personal stuff. So, keeping your credit shit tight is really important. Um, I take uh, Jillian does all of our office stuff. We have someone who runs our social media, so I don't have to do that anymore. That used to be on my plate, and we've since been able to hand that off. Making sure that you're making good posts, that your trainers are providing good pictures, setting your pictures up so that they look professional, that your content is good. Taking introductory pictures of the dogs you guys bring in, taking graduation photos or happy family photos is important. Um, and then when I do, talks with departments, I treat them the same way I treat our pet clients. I treat them professionally and with respect, and I talk to them about what they want. The biggest thing is returning their calls on time and their emails promptly. I can't tell you how many canine guys tell me, um, I went to this bigger kennel and I can't get them to call me back. I guess they don't want to sell one dog. Like, I know that we're not that big, but I want your money, I want your business, and I'm going to spend time with you. All of our handlers have my phone number, my personal phone number, to text me for anything compliant, anything medical, veterinary, any of their paperwork, chip information. I don't care what it is. Text me at 3 a.m. I'm going to answer my officers. Ted, they all have Ted's phone number to text him at any time for training information, for legal information. These guys are asking me to do this at 3 a.m. Is that something I should do? And Ted's like, absolutely not. So being prompt to respond to your prospective client or client, and continuing that relationship on is super important. And that's kind of my wheelhouse too. So I think that's probably a lot of why our business has grown so much. And that's what we do every day. That's what I do every day. So it's repetitive and not always fun. I've spent the last 4.5 days just getting financial shit, tax shit, everything. It's tax season is upon us, which is hell. but I'm prepared for it this time, so it's going to be kind of easy to hand that over and say, please, God, find all of the deductions that you can. I'm thinking about adopting children if anybody out there's listening, just so I can have a write off.
Oh,
Nice. I like it.
yeah. I made a face. I was like, what? Yeah. I'm like,
I'm adopting
bitch,
children,
what?
Ted.
Put 'em to
Yeah,
work.
they're going to be at the
Then,
kennel.
well, I was gonna say you can send them to the kennel. We don't have to fucking pay them. Then perfect.
Yeah, you can write off X number of thousands per year with them.
Exactly.
So
Apparently, you can't e-collar condition them, though.
no, that's bullshit. You just go on a tribal land, you can do it. You can do anything there. So,
I am Native American. I could do
know.
this.
Do it. Yeah, like so there's an agency in Tennessee, a large agency that called me out, one day, and I answered my phone. And 3-4 years later, they have bought 16 dogs from me. So basically, it's like $160,000 because I answered my phone, and they said the other places didn't answer and didn't call them back. And this is a large department. I ended up with a very nice relationship with those guys. They've been to my house, and I've been to their houses, and that's just stuff you do. The weird thing about this business is dealing with, on the police side, is dealing with people who are spending not their own money. And
Yes.
so they act like it's their money.
Good Lord. And they act like if they don't spend it, they get to keep it. Like
But
they get
it
a
isn't
bonus
their
at the end of
money.
the year. It's not their money.
So
collecting from them. Whew.
Yeah. So what does it look like with you guys from start to finish when agency calls you, hey, we need a pre-trained dog, a dual purpose pre-trained dog, no class, just the dog. We have our own trainer. What does that look like from start until payment?
So I will say this: it's very, very rare for us to sell a dog that does not come through a handler school in this state. I'd say out of all of the
And I
dogs we
will
sold
say,
last
and
year,
she needs to hold on a second. I need to interject.
Yep.
It's because of our state statute, and you have to have a handler school to even qualify to test to get certified, and we have a mandatory state certification. So that's part of the reason why. So good. Continue.
Yes. So we do sell green dogs, but pre-trained is not big for us. But I will say, so typically a department will reach out, they'll call or email. We'll start to talk with them. What are you looking for? What are your requirements? You know, single purpose dual, what state, all of those things. We'll start emailing back and forth, let them know what we have in stock for them to come and look at. They'll typically make an appointment. They'll come down, hang out with us for a day. A lot of departments are like that. I've had very few. I've had a couple that'll just buy sight unseen, but the majority departments want to come down, meet you, shake your hand, talk to you, spend a day training with you, see what dogs you have. They don't even really care most often in our experience if it's the dog that they're actually getting. They just want to see our inventory, our training style, our whatever. So we are very open with that. I will invite them down. Come on down, spend a day with us. Come to a Thursday night, or just come out when you can. We'll get together. We'll pull out dogs. You'll work in rotation. Wherever we're at, you can see us track. You can see us do building searches, bite works. So then I'll set that up with Ted. Let them know that we've got someone coming in, who it is, what they're looking for, and when they'll be here.
The other thing I want to point out here is kind of a business portion. If you're doing green dog sales, large kennels, and everyone who knows who they are that are doing green dog sales, people want to come and quote unquote test dogs. And I don't really import dogs for that purpose. And the ones that we do import are not the dogs that can just be leashed up by some fucking random weirdo that I don't know and take him out of the kennel and then take him off site and not expect that dog to try and fuck him up or fuck somebody else up, and for dual purpose work. And I don't care if people don't like that, and that's fine. So I don't really cater to that. Now the ones that we do for green are people that I know, are trainers that I know and respect and are not fucking stupid. That there's a bunch of guys in this country, in this region, that have handled a dog for 2 years that they didn't train. They weren't even the first handler for. They get a promotion and think that they want to run their own training program, that they're going to go select a dog. And I ain't the guy for that, because then we offer a warranty, right? So now I've got to warranty a dog back, and Eric can maybe tell the story, if not, if he wants to, about having to try and warranty a dog back that some guy now is scared of, or it has fucked him up, or has fucked his handler up, or he's fucked up, and now I've got to deal with it. So there's a lot of mutual trust that goes into selling green dogs like that. The kennels that do that have a huge turnover. And when you return a dog, 100%, I'll bet your ass right now. If you're listening to this and you're part of a department that goes and selects green, I can almost guarantee you that dog was passed over by someone else, or went somewhere and came back and had some training done, and somebody returned him. 1,000%.
Probably for biting the handler.
Probably for fucking the handler up, and or having
Absolutely.
some kind of weird ass problem. So we don't really like do that. And when people call me just kind of unsolicited, I'm like, yeah, we don't do that. What I do offer though is Green Plus, which is something that I learned from Eric, which is a dog that's kind of pre-selected. We train it a little bit more, so we lessen the likelihood of the dog having a recall, because the trainer doesn't know how to fucking imprint and doesn't know how to do basic shit. Now they can finish them, but they can't take a dog from completely green, has never been on a leash, right, to a dog. I mean, if you get a dog in from Holland, I've got some in from our vendor that they don't like to get in the kennel. Or one I got shipped in, he had his fucking muzzle zip tied to his collar. And for very good reason. And I can't imagine that dog going to one of these huge kennels up in Pennsylvania or Indiana, and him getting looked at because he'd fucking kill people, or try to. And so I just need to kind of like put that out there. So we don't do a ton of those dogs. We do Green Plus, which saves departments. If you're listening to this also and you're a really experienced trainer and you have a vendor, even if it's not me or Eric, that you trust, and you're like, dude, just teach him to find one odor, start him tracking, start his out, do his bite work, and do some obedience, and cut my time in half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then
they'll pay for it.
give your vendor an extra $5,000, and they'll do it. And you can tell your admins, we're spending an extra $5,000 and we're going to save a shit ton of time. And that's the most important thing to admins, is time, not money.
Yeah. So Alesha, talk about billing, what that end looks like with police departments.
So, oh man, um, it's kind of like you said, this money is not theirs, but you don't know that when you talk to them. You know, uh,
They act like they're not going to be able to send their kid to college because they're buying a fucking police dog.
well, a Glock is a Glock is a Glock. You know what I mean? Like a gun is a gun is a gun. There are better guns, but when you're looking at the same gun, if somebody gives you a discount, then that's good. Go with that. But our when you have a competitor in the state who's selling a dual purpose dog for 12,000, you should question that. Um, Something's wrong. I mean, because we all know how much a dog costs to import a healthy, health tested, x-rayed, heartworm free dog that is good stock, that's already tested, that has all its teeth and two nuts, and is healthy. Its hips aren't going to fall out of its socket. So um, make sure that you're going to a vendor that's not, if someone's really, really cheap, please question that for your department. You really are not going to put something healthy or something safe on the street that's really going to protect your officer. Um, so Ted and I require 80% down and 20% on pickup of the dog. The dog basically has to be completely paid for before it's taken off our property, and that is also through our insurance policy. That covers you and me. If you take my dog off the property and you haven't paid me for it, and you are in a wreck, or that dog just dies in the back of your car spontaneously, I'm out money, and so are you. And you're going to want me to replace that dog, and I haven't been paid for it. So we require that dog to be paid for before it's picked up. There are certain, especially sheriff's departments, that have to take possession. That's one of these rules. We have to take possession of the dog before we pay for it. Well, okay. Then we're going to select your dog. You are going to come out here. You are going to physically take possession of that dog. and then you're going to hand them back to me for training. That's how we're going to do that. And we're going to split the invoice for you to reflect that you came out, you took possession of that dog, and you're going to look at it and you're going to hand them back to me. And
I
then
want to like intervene here too on this because I know that Ford, Dodge, and Chevy, most dealerships do not do business that way. If you're buying the vehicle, leasing is
right,
a different deal. But like those cars are in such demand right now that if you're a sheriff's department, you're like, we don't pay until possession. They're like, well, you can ride a fucking bike then,
Yeah.
bro.
Bye.
Yeah.
bye.
So like, I
See ya.
don't care that it's your fucking policy. Like I know. Same thing with gas. You prepay for a year's worth of gas at a set price ahead of time. And so I know you're fucking lying to me.
Yeah.
And I know that you're lying. Like I know because I know the people that sell you your other stuff. Like and they don't do business that way.
I see
So
it from both sides. Like I see where departments have been taken advantage by bad vendors. And that's one of the big problems, is you have anybody who can make two dogs fucks, a dog vendor, right? And they're selling dogs. We have had a guy coming through Oklahoma not long ago that would sell, departments dogs for $5,000, and then he would disappear with their money, and these dogs were unhealthy and they were just, the guy disappeared with a lot of departments' money. So a lot of departments are very, um, on edge about that, which I get. But don't let a department tell you they can't afford it, and don't let them tell you that they can't pay for it, because they can. It's not their money. And, you may lose a sell or two, but you need to really be adamant in this is how we do business. And if you want to go somewhere else, you can. There will be someone else call you. And that department, 9 times out of 10, because we lost a couple of cells to, a guy who was cheaper than us. They called us back. They canceled their cell. They had a problem with the dog, and they're coming back. And they lost a lot of time because of that. So being a good vendor is harder. It's the harder path. Honoring your return policy is the harder path, but it pays off in the end. It really does. So, we are very regimented in that. But department will decide to go with us. They will issue us a PO. I will usually send them an estimate first, or quote. They'll send the quote back with their PO. I'll attach the PO, send that back, and then it's a done deal. Typically, we already have their dog in stock. If not, and it's something that we have, we're purposely looking for them, we'll, shop the dog, bring it in if it's not one that we've already got. And then Ted does his thing. The dog is with us for 14 to 20 weeks, just depending on what it's going through, what it's doing, what odors. And then they come out a week prior. They pick their dog up for bonding, take it back with them, spend a week just doing absolutely nothing in drive, come back in 1 week, and they start their school and go through school with them. And
one
they're
thing
with
I
us
can
for another
say,
4 weeks.
one thing that I want to add here too is when you send people a quote, go ahead and attach your W-9, pre-fill it,
Yep.
attach the because every fucking department is going to ask for it. Pre-attach your W-9 with all your EIN. If you don't have an EIN, you should have that. With all that shit on there, attach that to it and attach the if you have like 5 or 10 most recent dogs you've sold, attach the names of those departments there and phone numbers of either the handler and or their supervisor or whoever you talk to, just right off the bat. And if they call, they call. If they don't, they don't. Like whatever it is. We've had, and Alesha does that. She keeps that track of that. But attaching a W-9 because they're going to get approval, and they're like, well, we need a W-9, and we need this, and we need that, and it just shows a level of professionalism. Which, even though it's a small thing, like it's a level of professionalism. Like, okay, these people know exactly what we need. And I think Alesha also, sometimes you attach our like insurance policies and some other shit to it too. Like it
Yep.
attaches an email with a bunch of extra paperwork. It's like, here's our insurance, here's this, here's a W-9, here's everything you need to approve payment. And they're like,
And
oh,
follow up. Follow up with departments. Departments will tire, kick, and shop sometimes for years. And sometimes, you'll have these tiny, tiny departments who the kid wants to be a canine handler and he pitches the idea, and it will take him months to talk his admin into allowing him to shop, and the shop turns into. So I will talk to some of these guys for a year and a half before they
Well,
buy from us.
they're the ones that reach out, and sometimes their admins don't even know they're reaching out, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to get a dog," and the admins are like, "We're going to what?" And so d- don't count your chickens until somebody with stripes on their sleeves calls you, like a lieutenant, a captain, a chief if it's a small department,
Yeah.
assistant chief, under sheriff, like sheriff, somebody. Like we've had administrators that are non-law enforcement officers call, like bursars. People are like, "Oh, we're calling to inquire about this because the sheriff has asked me to do so," and it's usually sheriff's departments to do that. But like if it's just some kid, and if you're a handler listening to this, like there's other ways to go about this, and I'm not knocking it, right? But like, don't get excited if like some random dude calls you and is like, "Yeah, we're gonna get a dog and we need quotes," and like because that is don't think you're gonna get paid. Like if they call on Monday, you're not gonna get paid the following Monday. I can guarantee you that. I can
Well,
promise
and
that.
don't give up on him. Don't give up on
Well,
him though
that
either.
too.
You know
Don't.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I think bothers me the most is so many of these kids that end up buying dogs from us, so many of these departments that end up buying dogs from us called us, got a quote from us. Maybe we were too high. And then they went to our competitor. I had a department in Texas, is now coming back for their second dog because they called us. We weren't the lowest. Their admin went with a different, place. Um, they went down, they got a dog, they started to go through school, something happened, they weren't happy, and now they're coming back. Um, so I really don't mind the tire kickers. I don't mind the, you know, 53 emails. I don't mind all that because I want you to be comfortable and confident with us. I want you to spend your money with us. I want you to, know we're still here. So I'll solicit them occasionally too. If I don't hear from you in a couple months, I'll send you an email. Hey chief, hey sheriff, hey lieutenant, hey captain, just checking in with you. How are you doing? Just letting you know we have Thursday night training. Capture their emails. Send them occasional solicitation. I'm not talking about spamming the shit out of them like I get in my email. I'm just talking, send them an occasional hello. Just wanted to check on you guys.
The other thing is every state in the country has a sheriff's association and a chiefs of police association, and either advertising with those agencies or those organizations are always 501s, or doing some training with them somehow. It makes it seem a little more genuine when you. It seems like you're pre-vetted, even though you may not be, but because those organizations always ours are, but I'll say that. But it helps get your name in front of people, so it looks you're like a little more like verified already, right? You're just not some fucking weirdo training your dog out of a backyard, and you're gonna be like doing the handler school in a Walmart parking lot or something. So or in your fucking
Not a bad
garage.
idea.
So well,
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna find drugs, that's for sure. But
Just know that in the police dog industry, nothing is fast.
At
When
all.
you
No.
so say you hook up with a guy in Europe and he sends you a dog and it's a nice dog, you're not going to get your money back for a long time.
Yep.
And there's no recourse, really pretty much no recourse when the contract says on their end net 30. We used to put in our quote and our invoice, no net 30, payment upon receipt of invoice, because you have a purchase order, which means the money is allocated, and you can
yep.
about 11 days at the slowest to get paid from a PO. They can pay you quickly, but they don't, because they don't care, because there's no recourse. You're not going to sue. You're not going to sue a department to get paid. If you're a one shop guy like me, you can't do it.
No,
So you
and
just have to
there are
wait.
ways around it. The things that Alesha and I are starting to do is if you do the 80-20, so you
Mhm.
pay 80% up front
Yeah.
and then pay 20% on delivery, it's one price. If you're one of those departments that just insists on doing the delivery thing, you pay another price, which is actually higher. And
Yep.
if you don't, and if it's like we have to take it and then we finish when we have handler school done, because that's the totality of service, that again is a third price, which is also higher. So
Mhm.
you're like, sure, you can do it, But if you do like from our low price to our high price, is about $5,000 to $7,000. So yeah, we'll do it, but you're going to end up paying $5,000 to $7,000 more.
Yeah, I like that. I like that 80/20. I don't think I've ever heard you guys say
Yeah.
that.
And then when
Yep.
they hear that, they're like, "Oh, we could probably figure out how to get you paid sooner." I'm like, "Oh, no shit, really?
Yeah.
You don't say."
Well,
Yeah, they're
and
like,
Yeah.
not taking no, being adamant again, in everything you do. We get calls all the time, and it's departments and individuals. Hard luck, stories. Why I don't have the money to do that? Can you give me a discount because of? Can I get this? And you have to balance being sympathetic to people and being, listening to them and saying, I really am sorry, I apologize, I know that it's hard on you, but also I employ this many people and I pay them a fair wage. And so I can't give you a discount because our training is really good and my employees deserve to be able to eat too, and so being firm in that, not feeling bad for those hard luck stories on the pet side and on the department side, just understanding that maybe you'll lose a customer. Maybe you'll lose that sale. You might. But there's going to be someone call after them and you're not going to lose that one. And just being firm and saying, no, sorry guys, we've had a couple of instances where, department didn't pay us in time, so we don't wait net 90 anymore. We don't do net 30 anymore. When you guys choose a dog, you have a week to pay for that dog. That dog is earmarked for yours for those 7 days. I'm not going to sell that dog out from underneath you as long as you issue me a PO. As soon as you issue me a PO, there's 7 days to pay. You can mail it to us, or that dog goes back on the market. And when you guys are ready to commit and ready to buy, then give me a call and I'll have another great dog for you. But, I'm sorry. That's just business.
Yep. So we're going to wrap up, but real quick, just so you guys know that are listening, it is not the job of any administrator at any department to haggle. And it's bullshit when they do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'll get a low level
Absolutely.
patrolman trainer who will try to haggle you because then it looks good. I got him down from 12 to 10 or whatever bullshit. Your price is your price. 2, all departments can pay for dogs. They all have money. All of them. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a one stoplight town. They all have money. All of them can pay for police dogs. It is not your responsibility as the handler to fundraise and all this other bullshit. They have the money because they have SWAT teams. It's proof that they have money because they buy them whatever they want.
It's the most overused or most underused resource that sucks
Yeah.
up of such a fucking ton of money.
Cabinets full of ammo. Cabinets full of ammo, and the department hasn't had a shooting in 30 years, but they do 15 dog calls a week, full of ammo.
$300,000 worth of surefire suppressors.
The departments have money. It's just not a priority to them to pay. Canine is a weird thing. Stick to your price. If they go with somebody else, they go with somebody else. But keep in mind, and I know you guys have had to do it, and we've had to do it. So I have relationships with a department that they get a dog from me, and then the dog is out of warranty, and something happens. I have not replaced the dog for free, but I've given them cost. You know what I mean? To keep that going, like some sort of illness comes up a year and a half after they've had the dog, and like the dog has to get put to sleep or retire to me. I have done that before. I had one dog that I got from Europe, from a vendor in Holland. I only ever bought one dog from him, and dog was good. He was a good dog. He was a lot of fun. We had a good time, and he went to his department, and quickly failure after failure after failure to engage, a bunch of them. And we all know my story with my first dog. I had to do it, but he was out of warranty, right? But I don't want that. I don't want my name on that, and I don't want that guy getting hurt. So I sold them. We changed that dog to a single purpose dog. I sold them a dog at cost, who was a murderer. I didn't make any money. He was a great police dog, and a week after getting that dog, that handler gets into a shooting, has to kill a guy. So not because of the dog, but this is an area where they were busy, and I don't. We all end up eating things for unforeseen stuff to keep certain relationships going. But I'm not. I don't care that that department bought 16 dogs for me. They paid the same price every time. Maybe I gave them preferential choice, and I let them do some things in their screening that and I didn't let other people do because they were competent. But so you will bend on some things, but not. It should never be because they don't have money.
Yeah.
It should be for your name.
Well, and we
Really,
we
that's
don't
it.
give we don't give like return client discounts. Like thank
Mm-mm.
you on the law enforcement side. Thank you so much for coming to us. We really appreciate your business. Our job, our fulfillment of that is to put out a dog that protects the handler, a dog that is going to find what it's supposed to find and bite when it's supposed to bite and do all the things it's supposed to do. That's what we do. And
Well,
so
Dodge and
um,
Chevy and Ford and Glock and fucking Sig don't either. Like, I
exactly,
mean, they're like,
exactly,
I mean, Federal Ammo doesn't either. They're like, oh, you bought 14 million rounds in the last 2 years. Cool. You need another 14 million at the same price. I
same
mean,
price,
if you
exactly.
Right.
don't, somebody else is going to buy them. So, like, I mean, but yeah, thanks.
All right. One
I
last
I
thing that
really go ahead.
one last thing that you touched on before that and it's just as a this day and age, pet or police dog, guys, content, 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 content.
Yeah.
Period. You can
Pictures of
get
everything.
on the pet side and the police dog side, you can get so much free exposure and advertising by putting good content on Facebook every day. Not every 3 or 4 days, every day. There's only like 3 kennels in this country that don't have to do content, right? And they still do a little bit. But on your pet side and on your police dog, good pictures, good content. I don't want to hear, oh, I suck with these phones. I don't know the. Then find somebody that
Yeah.
excuse that I'm not good with electronics. Come on, man. What? I hear 30-year-olds saying that. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Content, 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 content. Reels, good videos on the pet side. Tell a story. If you get a shitty dog, show him being shitty and then show him being great. Little things. It
Yep.
takes minutes. It's
Show
free.
the
Like
beginning,
free.
show the beginning, show the end, show the transition, show this magical. And I think you said this a while ago where you're like, at least 50% of the dogs that you get for your pet side are behavioral cases, right? Well, it's probably more than that here. I mean, we're
Yeah.
dealing, when you get a pet, you're not dealing with great genetics a lot of times, and you're not, a lot of these dogs have come from the shelter. They're rescues. They're, got some genetic things going on. They've got some environmental things going on. They've been ill-treated. So seeing a dog when it first gets to you, we had one and it went viral several times, and it was this dog named Cocoa Puff. The dog was, I don't know how the people came and picked this dog up from the pound without the dog having to have been on a high level of sedative, right? Like the
Hmm.
dog was absolutely unbelievable in its behavior. It alligator rolled, it bit at anything that was around it, it pissed into the air. So it was this
Mhm.
pissing, biting, screaming thing that didn't know how to even be on a leash. I don't know how they got it out of the kennel and gave it to these people. But anyway, we get the dog and we videotaped the transition from this alligator rolling, pissing, shitting animal to it confidently walking through a festival. And I mean, it was over a month of hard work
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
repetition. But of course, the video shows this magical transformation, and it's literally shot on cell phone. Set your iPhone up in your kennel and just press record, time lapse video. Get one of those little cell phone holders that'll track you, and set that up. Take a video of you just working. I tell people that all the time. You can get content hands free while you're working. Just videotape everything. Keep your phone plugged in, videotape everything you do, most of what you do, half of what you do, and then go home at night and sit and edit it down. There's tons of apps for it. And again, like Eric said, it's free content. Use it.
Hmm. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. This is a pretty good lengthy episode. So, Ted, don't say anything. Alesha, where can you guys be found?
Oh my God. We are on Torchlight Canine, Torchlight underscore pets, on both Facebook and IG. Of course, Working Dog Radio, workingdogradio.com. You can find us anywhere that you can download a podcast. Um, and our new project, we've got it parked. We're working on the website now and places to donate. Is Oil Capital, capital like money, Oil Capital Canine Fund. We're out of Oklahoma providing dogs, training, and hot and pops to Oklahoma officers.
Love it. Love it. Ted, what's the Instagram for Working Dog Radio?
Working_dog_radio.
Yeah, look at you.
After
You got
5
it.
years, I finally
Right.
fuck it up. It's not. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's pretty good. Check me out on Instagram, Vaness Canine and Ridgeside Canine, Ohio. Both Facebook and Instagram are tied together. So if you see it on Instagram on Vaness, you'll see it on Facebook and Ridgeside Canine, Ohio. So good stuff, guys. Alesha, was glad to have you on. It's been a minute.
Thanks, guys. It's good to be
Yeah.
a part of my podcast.
Yes, right. Yeah,
It's
finally.
good to be a part of my podcast.
I like it.
Fucking Jesus Christ.
Oh, hey, last thing, I want to say something. I don't know what the rash is on social media right now, where all of these people are selling you how to become a successful dog training business.
I saw that.
Don't buy
Yeah.
into that shit, people.
Dude.
No.
Don't buy into that shit, people. Don't do that. Don't
There's one
fucking
dude
buy that shit.
There's one guy that I'm friends with on Facebook that I just fucking troll him. Every chance I get, and he hasn't figured it out yet. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I guess you don't need my help."
I
Anyway,
can make
you're
you.
right.
I can
I
make
don't,
your
bro.
dog training business make 6 figures. Well, then why didn't you do that for yourself, sir? Please
Yeah.
stop.
Where are all the dog leads? I don't know. I had like 7 today. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
My phone got them. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus
all right, guys. We'll talk to you
All right.
later. I got to go to bed. It's 10:30 here.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Right on.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.